February 14th, 2013, Peoria, Illinois. It's Valentine's Day, and Baptist missionary Nathan Leuthold already has roses and a card on the kitchen table for his wife. This young family of 5 celebrated the day of love together, but by the time the kids were coming home from school, Denise was dead, shot in the head inside the front door, the keys to her car still in her hand. But who would do such a thing? This murder would rock a community and take a church to its knees, wondering who to pray for. Was it Nathan who'd lost his wife? Was it for Denise's soul? Or maybe their sponsored Lithuanian student, Aina, who'd come to the States to study music and ministry. This is Nathan Leuthold, My Bloody Valentine. Hey y'all, I'm Chris Calvert.
And I'm her husband, Rob Potter. Welcome to Hitch to Homicide.
For better or worse.
Till death do us part.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, welcome. And I want to preface this by saying my wife never tells me what the episode is about or where it's from or anything.
That is true.
And so, as in the words of, and for those of you that are around my age, Sergeant Schultz on Hogan's Heroes, I know nothing. All right. So this is welcome for our friends in Lithuania.
Are you serious?
Yes.
You didn't know.
I had no idea. I
oh
swear.
my gosh. I can't believe you're doing this.
Yep.
Okay.
Sviki. So there you go.
Very good.
Our friends in Lithuania. I know.
We share a brain.
We do. Great minds stink alike.
It's true. Well, wherever you are listening to this podcast, be sure to subscribe. Please leave us a like, rate us, or write us a review.
Yes.
If you want more true crime, please join our closed Facebook group, the H2H In-Laws and Outlaws.
It's a lot of fun.
Type it in on Facebook or go to our website at hitchtohomicide.com and you can find a link there.
Right.
Just a reminder, we have a new space on the website. If you want to share with us your own true crime story, be sure to share yours and we might just do it on the podcast. There's a lot coming in.
Yep.
Well, it's Valentine's Day.
Yes, and I wore as close to red as I could possibly get because being a redhead, which I'm not as red as I used to be, imagine that. I used to be bright orange.
Until he married me, and then he went gray.
But, so it was always known that if you're a redhead, you don't wear red.
That's not true.
Yeah, they always told me redheads don't wear orange or red.
Redheads can wear whatever they want.
And I prove it every day.
You do.
Most of the time it's sweats.
That is also true. But I wanted to wish a happy Valentine's Day to my sweetheart.
Oh, happy Valentine's, babe. I love you.
Rob, you're the butter to my biscuit, the jelly to my peanut butter, and the cheese to my gluten-free macaroni.
We're like peas and carrots.
May and Jenny.
There we go.
Not every marriage is as lucky as ours. Mm-hmm. Take today's case. Take my wife, please. I can't believe I said that just now.
Ba-dum-bum.
I know. I'm channeling Henny Youngman. Well, this is a tragic case, but I feel like justice was served, and I wanted to talk about it today of all days.
Okay.
Before we get started, let me thank some sources. Medium.com, the Pekin Daily Times, Illinois.gov, The People vs. Leuthold, Find a Grave, The Journal Star, Dateline NBC, The Pantograph, The DeWitt Daily News, Oxygen.com, and Career Gear.
Okay. Well, you ready?
I am.
Let's do it.
Denise Lee Newton was born on February 3rd, 1974 in Dade County, Florida, to Douglas and Diane Newton.
Okay.
She will have a sister. Now, by the time she's in grade school, her family has moved to Peoria, Illinois. I've been to Peoria. Just last year, I did a book signing there. It's called Writers on the River. If you love books, check it out. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. Great people run it. It's a wonderful, wonderful book signing, and it all goes to a really good cause.
I knew you did that signing, but I didn't know it was in Peoria.
It's in Peoria.
There you go.
Yeah. So they moved to Peoria, where Denise goes to school at a small Christian school called Faith Baptist. She was a year older than a boy named Nathan Leuthold.
Okay.
But he thought she was the bee's knees, and he had a crush on her from the time they were 9 and 10 years old.
Wow.
Nathan Leuthold was born on July 12, 1975, to Bruce and Catherine Leuthold. And these two would become friends, and by the time they were in junior high, Nathan really liked Denise. Not, more than just like puppy love, more than like pulling her pigtails kind of loved her.
I really, really, really like you.
Yes. That's what Rob said after he met me.
It was. And I said it just like that. And she still went out with me.
He did not say that. But there are some funny stories about us dating in the beginning. So maybe someday we'll tell those.
Which ones?
Don't worry. I'll keep it PG.
Okay.
Nathan really liked Denise. Back to the podcast. Nathan really liked Denise. But they went to this very strict Baptist school, and neither of their parents believed in dating. So they remained friends. And even when they were in high school, they were just best buddies and always together, always joking around.
Okay, when did that rule on dating, when did that cease? At what age? Okay.
I think after high school.
Oh, okay.
Seriously.
Wow.
I'm sure they were, I don't want to say that they were like sleeping together because I really don't think that, but I'm sure they stole a kiss here and there. They're in high school.
Sure.
But they were always together. They're always joking around. They went to 2 different churches. They went to the same school, but 2 different churches. So she attended his church activities with him, and he did the same for her.
Okay.
She graduated in 1992 from Faith Baptist Christian School and was a member of the LaMarche Baptist Church in Mapleton.
Okay.
Nathan was at the Newton house a lot. And they were boyfriend and girlfriend, if you can be that, and not officially ever date.
Okay. Wow.
Just really good friends.
Yeah. That really, really, really liked each other.
Yes.
Okay.
After high school, Denise went off to college in Minnesota, and the year after, Nathan joined her there. These two get engaged.
Okay.
And just 3 years after graduating high school, they get married in July of 1995.
So they're still in college when they get married?
Yes.
Okay.
Denise was very musically inclined, and at their wedding, she sang to Nathan about how everything she wanted was in Nathan.
And her voice didn't quiver at all.
I read this and I thought, I can't even imagine if I got to the altar and looked at Rob. I mean, people were drinking alcohol out in the garden while we were getting married. Yeah. We had a very sort of informal wedding. There was an open bar before the wedding even started.
Yep. Lots of wine glasses.
There were tons of wine glasses. And yeah, so I cannot even imagine. What would you have done if I'd like come down the aisle and just broke out in song?
Maybe laugh. No,
of course you would have.
I'm kidding.
You would have been looking around like, did somebody give Chris too much wine before the wedding ceremony?
Am I really getting married?
Am I really marrying this woman?
No, I would have loved it. Come on.
You would not have loved it.
That's what I'm supposed to say.
So, I'm sorry. Anyway, after the wedding, they came back to their hometown in Peoria to settle in.
Okay.
She takes a job at an insurance company, and Nathan took a job in sales. But Nathan, according to him, had a higher calling, missionary work.
Okay.
In 1998, Nathan and Denise meet a couple doing missionary work in a city in north central Lithuania. And I'm ashamed to say it, but I had to go to the map to see where Lithuania was located exactly.
It's one of the Baltic states.
I knew it was in that Hungary, Poland area.
Yeah.
And it's north of Poland.
Yeah, it's a big area too.
It is. And because they want to join this other couple on their mission there, they sold most of their stuff. They moved in with Denise's parents. They saved their money in order to get over there. And they moved there without really knowing the language or the culture very well.
Wow.
I mean, and that's a lot. I mean, even when you go on vacation to a foreign country and you don't know the language or the money system or whatever, it's a little bit of a challenge. So I can't imagine living somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, these days you can cheat if you have an iPhone.
Sure.
You've got a translator and you can do all that. But back then,
couldn't do that back then.
Maybe you had a little book and you were looking up, how do I say I have to go to the bathroom?
Well, I mean, they're there with other missionaries, so that's got to help.
Sure.
But at the same time, they're moving to a country they've never been to before.
Right.
They went for a year and then came back to the States and had a son named Seth. And not long after Seth arrives, they have a baby girl, Julia.
Okay.
Then in 2002, the family went back to Lithuania, and this is when the family met 6-year-old Aina Dobilaite.
Okay.
Now, I think it's important to know that being a missionary was Nathan's dream, not Denise. She's doing this because she loves her husband and because she wants to support his dreams.
Sure.
And the fact that she takes a baby and a toddler back to Lithuania is amazing to me.
I thought it was true love when you took my last name. That's
only legally.
True.
I'm kidding. But I could barely handle a baby and a toddler. And now I was in my own country.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine. Denise, my hat is off to you. Still, Denise, who loves music, is very much a musician. She starts playing piano for the kids she's teaching, and the little girls in particular. She teaches them Christian songs and reads them Bible stories.
Okay.
And one of the girls who was with Denise a lot was Aina Dobilaite. She loved music like Denise. She was their regular babysitter. Aina and her mom were really involved in church. There's an interview where Nathan says they worked with and helped families where the mother was abused. So maybe Aina's mom was one of those women.
Right.
According to Nathan, when Aina is a teenager, she gave her life to the Lord.
Okay.
According to Nathan, he and Denise, on more than one occasion, brought or sent people back to the United States from Lithuania for school or for other opportunities. And by the end of 2010, the Leutholds came back to Peoria, and also coming to the United States is Aina.
Gotcha.
She is 18 years old, and she's going to go to school in Florida to study music and ministry. So in the fall of 2010, Aina enrolls at the Pensacola Christian College. And by this time, Denise has had a third baby, a little girl, Janelle. Now, while Aina is studying there, Nathan goes to visit her a lot. And when Denise's mother asks her if she's jealous that Nathan is traveling to Florida to see Aina, an 18-year-old girl, Denise says no, because she trusts Nathan. And when Aina's spring break rolls around, she comes to Peoria and stays with the family. And when I say the family, it's Denise, Nathan, the 3 kids, and Denise's parents.
Wow.
Now that's a crowd.
Yep.
But apparently, Aina was good with the kids. In the summer of 2011, Nathan and Aina traveled to Europe without Denise.
Okay.
Who's home with their newborn and 2 other small children.
Yeah.
But then also in 2011, Aina leaves the school in Florida. She makes it a whole year, but then the fall semester of 2011, she and Nathan are keeping a secret. And the secret is that Aina is asked to leave the conservative Christian college because when Nathan would come to visit, which is all the time, these 2 are sharing a hotel room.
Oh, man. Okay.
So Aina leaves and moves back to Peoria and in with Denise and Nathan and Denise's parents.
Wow.
She had her own room.
Okay.
But they were keeping the secret, right? That's why she had to leave.
Right.
That summer, 2012, Aina and Nathan go back to Europe again, without Denise. In the fall, Aina enrolls at Illinois Central Community College, and she lives with Denise and Nathan and the kids and the grandparents still.
Okay.
So the unofficial story is that she left her music path in Florida because her hands were hurting.
All right.
She was having problems with her hands. But the real story is that the school asked her to leave due to, quote, an inappropriate relationship the school believed she was having with her sponsor, end quote.
Wow.
That's in her file.
Yeah, you can't get around that.
That's going on your permanent record. You remember when you were a kid? This will go on your permanent record.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that went on Ina's record.
Wow.
And while she's living with the Leutholds, Nathan takes her to spa appointments at a place called Five Senses Spa, where Nathan paid for services for Aina, including her hair, massages, and waxes.
And his wife is just buying into this?
His wife is oblivious to all this.
She can't be oblivious. She's got to have some sort of suspicion.
Hang on.
Okay, I'm hanging. Jeez.
He always took her there, and he always paid for everything. She didn't have a driver's license, so he drove her everywhere, and he paid for everything.
Okay.
Then in the fall of 2012, Aina leaves Peoria, enrolling at the Chicago and Moody Bible Institute, 160 miles from Peoria. And of course, Nathan goes to see her. It's only 160 miles away.
Wow.
And she spends the holidays with the Leutholds. And Nathan is constantly texting, calling, and emailing her.
And there's no suspicion for the wife. Okay.
More than that, Nathan rented an apartment at One Superior Place in Chicago, apartment 1503. And there, Aina stayed with Nathan from November 20th through the 26th. Then in December, she visited him again in an apartment. I think these are like Airbnbs, but he's taking her out to dinner. He's taking her horseback riding.
Wow.
All kinds of romantic gestures.
Sure. But they're just friends.
No, they're not friends. He's a mentor. He's a sponsor to her because she's a Lithuanian ministry student.
Yeah, so this is probably his excuse for visiting her.
Yeah.
That he's the sponsor.
He's her sponsor. He's checking on everything.
Yeah, whatever, Nathan.
But even though from the outside it seems like the Baptist missionary Nathan and his dutiful wife and 3 beautiful children are the epitome of a happy family, here it comes.
Uh-oh.
All is not well.
Imagine that.
Because we don't know when it happened, but Denise is on to Nathan.
Got it.
She knows he's having an affair with Aina, even though he's denying it. Deny, deny, deny.
Yeah, and as my father used to say, you don't have to hit me in the head with a ball-peen hammer too many times before I realize that hurts.
Oh, it's one too many times with the ball-peen hammer, I'm afraid, in this story.
Yep. Wow.
When Valentine's Day 2013 rolls around, Denise wakes up and finds roses and a card on the table in the kitchen. Denise, the kids, and Nathan have breakfast together, and the kids open their Valentines from their parents, and they get ready for school.
Okay.
At 8:37 a.m., Nathan texts Aina, quote, I know there's a lot to do today. I pray there is enough time to do everything. Have good lectures and meeting. Take care of yourself, end quote.
Okay.
I pray there's time to do everything. Just remember that, okay?
Yeah.
Nathan runs his errands for the day. He goes to Chase Bank, Starbucks, the day spa, a car wash. He can be seen on CCTV up until 11:30 a.m. when he leaves Starbucks. And here is what the police believe happened from this point forward.
Okay.
Around 11:15 a.m., Denise drops 4-year-old Janelle off for nursery school, half day, afternoons. She comes home a little before noon. She walks in through the front door of the house. She still has on her coat. She's got her gloves on. She is shot in the back of the head with a Glock. She falls to the ground. She's dead immediately.
Wow.
At 12:45, Nathan shows back up at Starbucks. And later that afternoon, around 3 p.m., he gets a call that no one has picked up Seth and Julia from school. So he gets little Janelle out of nursery school, and after he's picked up Janelle from school, he tells his parents, who were offering to go get the kids, to hold up. He was right by the house. I'm right by the house. So let me go there first to see if Denise is at home, because Denise is the one who's supposed to pick up the other two.
Sure.
Okay, if your wife isn't answering her texts or her phone calls and the kids haven't been picked up from school, I'd be worried.
Yeah, especially if that was the routine.
Yeah, that was the routine.
Wow.
But according to Nathan, he pulls into the driveway and he sees that the garage door is up, which isn't normally the case. It's also the dead of winter in Peoria, Illinois.
Yeah.
So sure, keep the garage door closed.
Sure.
But when he arrives, he sees that Denise's car is gone. He also sees broken glass in the floor of the garage at this home, which is owned by his in-laws at 700 West Mossville Road. It's a garage window that's broken.
Okay.
Nathan calls the police and tells them he thinks the house has been broken into. And they ask him some questions, but he basically says, I'm not going inside. They were across the street. He and his little girl were across the street at a neighbor's home. And when the police arrive, he's standing in the driveway at the neighbor's house across the road. And he tells the police that he's trying to contact his wife because she was supposed to pick up their kids in East Peoria.
And he's not going to check inside the house.
He's not going inside the house, and he can't get in touch with his wife. Rob would be in the house so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, any loving husband would be in the house looking for their wife.
Yep.
Now, while he's waiting for the police to show up, he calls family members to see if anybody has heard from Denise. And police show up and they go into the house through the garage. They see the broken glass, so they check for muddy footprints behind the house. Mm-hmm. And there aren't any.
Yeah, of course not.
2 officers enter the house and find shards of glass in the floor. Kitchen cabinets are open and some kitchen drawers are on the floor. And right away, the police are like, this is hinky.
Yeah.
Because when a burglary happens, thieves don't give 2 hoots about what's in the stupid kitchen.
Let's go see if there's any IKEA silverware that we can throw away and steal.
Let's see if there's an Allen wrench in here that they put the IKEA stuff together with.
Oh, Nathan.
But also, in most burglaries, there's stuff from the drawers scattered around, and drawers are dumped because they're trying to get in and get out fast, right?
Right.
But they walk from the garage down this hallway. They see all this stuff in the kitchen, and they find Denise dead on the floor just inside the front door. She's face down in a pool of blood, and a spent shell casing and a live round are on the floor next to her head.
Really?
The blood was beginning to coagulate. She still had on her coat, she had her purse with her, and tangled in her hair and underneath her body are the keys to her car. A car that isn't in the garage.
Yeah, I was about ready to say, I thought the car was gone.
It is.
So there's got to be a second set of keys, and where did they come from?
Mm-hmm. You're so good at this, honey.
Detective Rob on the job.
So the house has been oddly ransacked. There are high-end electronics in the house. None of that is taken. Like her mother worked for a high-end electronics store. By the way, her parents both work. They're both out of the house all day.
Okay.
The police get out of the house and they wait for backup because this is a crime scene. They don't want to contaminate it.
Sure.
They both go out to their squad cars and put on their bulletproof vests, not knowing if the killer was still inside the home.
Right.
And when they go back to their police cruiser, Nathan is still standing in the driveway. So let's stop for a second. If your house had been broken into and the police come outside and put on bulletproof vests, what are you going to do?
I'm going to say, what the heck is going on?
You're going to ask some questions.
Yeah.
And Nathan doesn't say a word or ask one question. What did you find? Is my wife inside?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
Yeah.
Nope. He is texting with Aina saying, quote, I can't now. Police checked. It looks like the house was robbed, end quote. This is at 3:30, a half hour after he's seen the open garage.
Wow.
And Aina texts back, quote, interesting, and a smiley face. End quote.
Oh, man. Okay, between the two, I think they have the IQ of a houseplant.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Okay.
Police go to Nathan and they're like, what kind of car does Denise drive? And he tells them, and they broadcast the description over the police radio. And another police officer finds it just down the street in Robinson Park. Also near the car are a pair of fleece gloves, like 50 feet away, next to a picnic table.
Okay.
The next day, police will find the key to the car in a trash can near where the car was parked.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's a bit of evidence.
Hinky, I say.
A little bit.
It's hinky.
A little bit, as Robert De Niro would say. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
Nathan is in the neighbor's house now. He's watching out the window. And his father calls him while he's searching for Denise. I'm rolling my eyes. He's calling family members to see if they've heard from her.
The gratuitous calls to the relatives.
Yes. Yeah. I'm worried.
Yeah.
Where's Denise?
Yeah.
But I'm not going in the house and I'm not asking any questions.
Right.
His father tells him that he's on his way to him and that it was on the local radio news that someone had been shot at Denise's parents' home. That's how he found out that his wife was dead.
No, I think he knew before that.
Well, according to him,
Yeah.
that's how he found out his wife was dead.
Yeah, there you go.
And obviously, they've not called for EMS. They've called for backup police. So it's at this point realizes it's Denise. She must be dead. That's going to be his story.
Yeah.
Now, despite it looking really wrong at the crime scene, they take Nathan into the police station and just chat with him. And at first they're thinking, sure, this whole thing looks really wrong, really bad.
Right.
But this is a well-known Baptist missionary in this community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A missionary wouldn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Let alone his wife.
Yeah.
It's going to hide behind God.
Yeah. Hide behind that cloak of religion.
Nathan arrives at the station around 6 p.m. He rides over with two detectives, Detective Jason Lee and Detective Moore. They chat with him for about 6 hours. They know that her car has been found at Robinson Park, and they think that that's weird. They also know that the keys to her car are tangled in her hair under her body, which means the robber and killer had to seek out the spare set of keys in order to drive her car away. Just what you said.
Right.
Not to mention, she had her purse with her, and nothing was taken. Nothing. No credit cards. Nothing. So how much time does this killer spend at the house? Because the autopsy is going to show that Denise was probably murdered around noon.
Unless the robber hated silverware. Just like Steve Martin in The Jerk. He hates these cans. I don't know what made me think of that.
Or the robber was actually there early and got stuff out in the kitchen.
Yeah. There you go.
And then waited.
That's more plausible.
Maybe.
Jeez. Wow.
When they get him in the interrogation room, they ask him all the usual questions. When did you come home? Blah, blah, blah. They ask him, was she having an affair? And he says no. And then they ask, are you having an affair?
Right.
And he says no.
Mm-hmm.
He tells the police that Denise is the backbone of the family. That's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And that he's just doing his best to hold it all together. He signs 4 different consent forms, including a consent to search his car, a consent to search his bedroom. Remember, Denise's parents own the home, and they're already in there. They've already given their consent to search the house.
Mm-hmm.
A consent to search his cell phone, and one for his HP laptop and USB hard drive. And while he's giving his statement or being questioned, halfway through the chit-chat, they were taking breaks on and off, and Nathan said he wanted to call, quote, this person. So his phone rings, he lets it go, and then he says, I want to call this person, meaning the Lithuanian student in Chicago,
Gotcha.
Aina.
Right.
Then he called her again just minutes later. Then at 11:30 p.m., he calls Aina again, and then tells police, quote, I'm so physically tired. If you guys want to keep talking, I don't want to do this. If the only way for me to stop the dead-end conversation is for me to exercise a right, then I need to know how to do that, end quote. Because they've told him, you're not a suspect. We're not holding you for anything.
Right.
Wink, wink.
Yeah. Yet.
Right. Police are looking through the house and gathering evidence in the bedroom. And beside the bed, they find a day planner. And in the floor, they find a black hoodie sweatshirt. That's all called foreshadowing.
Here we go. There you go.
Yes. In the dresser drawer in the bedroom, they find $300 in cash. So the burglar was in the kitchen going through the junk drawer and not in the bedroom taking the $300 cash.
I'm telling you, he hated silverware. Sorry.
As far as valuables like jewelry, well, 3 rings were taken. The only 3 rings that were worth anything. But that would be hard to know unless the burglar really knew what he was looking for.
Yeah.
This according to Denise's mom.
Okay.
In other words, from the get-go, the police think this is wrong. This is staged.
Right.
What else is taken? A Glock 40. It was a gun that was in a lockbox and was locked up. So they took the whole lockbox?
Yeah.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Now, while they're questioning him, they do give him his Miranda rights because they were going to ask some, quote, digging questions like, did Denise have any enemies? Was she having an affair? Are you having an affair? Of course, he said no to all of them.
Sure.
He takes a cell phone call from his dad. He's really upset that the murder is on the news and on Facebook.
What?
He's even more upset that the minister at his church wanted to speak with him.
What did he expect?
I don't know.
Okay.
Nathan leaves that night and goes to his sister's house where the kids were asleep. He tells the kids the next morning that their mom is dead, saying that he prayed, quote, begging the Lord for wisdom and strength, end quote.
Wow.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
He told them that, quote, mom went home to be with God, end quote, saying their faces were soaked in tears and they prayed together as a family. I feel horrible for these kids. They didn't ask for any of this.
Yeah.
Nathan and the kids go to a church mission house, a safe house, because they're afraid that somebody is after Nathan as well. Nathan is saying this.
Yeah.
The next day, they want to chat with Nathan again. And they ask him, hey, Nathan, how did Denise's car get to Robinson Park? And Nathan was quiet and stoic. He didn't panic. He didn't know how the killer found the spare key to his wife's car or why they had driven it to Robinson Park and thrown the key in the trash. They ask him about the gun, the Glock 40, because at this point, they know that's the weapon that murdered Denise.
Right.
He tells them he assumes the killer got to the gun, broke open the lockbox, and then killed her with the gun. And when he left, he took the open lockbox with him.
Okay.
Again, police are like, dude.
Yeah.
We've worked enough burglary and homicide cases.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have taken the lockbox with them after forcibly opening it up. They ask him, when was the last time you shot that gun? And he tells them 2 weeks earlier in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Then they ask him if he'd been to Robinson Park on the day of the murder. And he says, what do you think?
I'm going to just go off the reservation here. And he says yes.
Yes. He says yes.
Wow.
He pulled in to take a phone call around noon.
Okay.
And when police ask him, well, why didn't you offer that information up before?
Right.
He said, quote, I don't have an answer, end quote.
Jeez. I think the walls are starting to close in a little bit.
They're not yet, but they're gonna.
All right.
They ask him, who's the call from? And he tells them it was Aina, the girl who'd lived with them that they sponsored to study in the United States from Lithuania. Mm-hmm. So police tracked down Aina in Chicago, and they straight up ask her, were you in a sexual relationship with Nathan Leuthold?
Mm-hmm.
And she says, no.
Of course not.
No.
How do you say no in Lithuanian?
I don't know. You'll have to look that up.
I believe it's no.
Yep. She's like, no. no sexual relationship.
Okay.
And while they're just chatting with her, her English is perfect. But when they start asking really probing questions, suddenly she doesn't understand English. She would say, quote, "I don't understand." And then finally, quote, "I'm not going to answer that question." End quote.
Wow.
She had zero emotion, and she was just staring at these two homicide detectives. So they level it up a little bit. They take it up a notch.
Okay.
They show her the crime scene photos to get a reaction from her, and she has none. They show her the autopsy photos. She has no reaction.
Wow.
And when they call her out on it, I mean, this is your other family, right? They took you in, you watched their children, and Denise was so good to you.
Yeah.
They say, "This doesn't bother you, seeing these crime scene photos and autopsy photos?" And she said, quote, "I cried enough over the weekend," end quote.
Okay. Listen, I was an exchange student when I was in high school and lived with a family down there. And if something like this happened to my family, my extended family down there, I'd be devastated.
You would be devastated.
Absolutely.
Well, anybody would.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
When they ask her about her spa appointments that he takes her to, they point blank ask her, "What are you getting waxed at the spa?" And she says, "I'm not answering that."
Okay.
Which speaks volumes.
Yeah.
And when they ask her about Nathan paying the bill, she tells him that Nathan paid it, and it's his and Denise's money. So if he's spending it, it must be okay with her too. Meanwhile, back in Peoria, police are tracing Nathan's movements on the day of the murder, and they can see him at Chase Bank and at Starbucks. And they go to the spa, the Five Senses Spa, and they speak with the owner, Paula Hinton. And they discover that Nathan is such a regular customer there. And they knew who Aina was because she was always with him. And Paula tells police that Aina had been coming to the spa for a couple of years, and she thought Nathan and Aina were a couple. She only discovered Nathan had a wife when he came in on the morning of February 14th to pay $74 for a gift certificate.
Okay.
For a massage.
All right.
And the detectives are like, "Hold the phone. All this hair and massages and waxing."
Yeah.
And there's an interview with one of the homicide detectives who said, quote, "My stuff would be," and he kind of has a little Southern accent. He said, quote, "My stuff would be in the front yard if my wife found out I was waxing up a 20-year-old, end quote.
Got that straight.
Waxing up. I thought that was hilarious. I had to include it.
That's funny.
But it does beg the question, why after 2 years of taking Aina there for over 2 years, after 2 years of this, does he finally plan to take his wife there for a massage?
Yeah.
Because he knows she's not going to be around to use it.
Yep.
And he thinks it's going to make him look like a doting husband.
Right.
That's my theory.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, I already told you the police pulled the CCTV footage from the places he said he was, and they can account for him up until 11:30 a.m. There's a gap of time where he's unaccounted for, and this is the same time as
the murder.
Denise's murder.
Right.
But to make sure, police run the route. And here's what they think has happened. Nathan drove his car to the park and left it there. And then he walked back to his house just a half mile away down the road. He tries to make the house look like a haphazard burglary, waits for Denise, shoots her, takes the spare set of keys in haste because hers are tangled in her hair, and he obviously doesn't want to touch her.
Right.
Drives Denise's car to the park, leaves it, gets in his own car, and drives to Starbucks.
Wow.
And police run this route, and it takes 7 minutes. But Nathan signed all those consent to search forms, right?
Sure.
So they look at his laptop, and he had it set for all his searches to be deleted at the end of the day. I didn't even know you could do that.
I didn't either.
I mean, I never delete mine.
Yeah.
When I'm dead and they go through my stuff, they're going to be like, one sick, twisted chick. Too many books to write. Too many podcasts to go research.
The FBI is going, we need to keep an eye on this chick.
I'm telling you, I'm on a watch list somewhere. I know it. I used to think every time I would go to a different country and I've got my passport and stuff, I was going to get flagged because of all the stuff that I was researching.
And that's for your books.
That's all for my books, right?
Exactly. Just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, all for the books. Because the Jane Doe series that's some heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But then I just went to, the government and said, here are my fingerprints.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just want to be TSA pre-check.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you know who I am. I'm here. I'm just like, hi, I'm here.
Yeah.
Don't stop me for anything. Sorry.
Yeah.
But this computer forensics dude looks at all of Nathan's Google searches, which included how to silence a Glock, how to OD someone on insulin,
wow,
drowning, electrocution in bathtub, blow to the head, hitting someone over the head to knock them out, how to erase everything from iPad, how to make a date rape drug, sleep-inducing drugs, suicide by injecting air, where to buy potassium chloride, how best to shoot yourself, and short-term furnished apartments in Pensacola, Florida.
Gee whiz. Wow. He sort of covered the whole gambit.
He did.
Yeah.
These searches are from several months before the murder of Denise.
Wow.
And when he's questioned about all of it, he tells them, I work with an overseas foundation called Hope for Tomorrow. It's an organization that works to combat suicide. And he tells police, we, meaning him and Denise, were looking at blog sites where young people go who are thinking of suicide. Really?
Okay. Whatever, Nathan.
Really?
Yeah.
They're going to inject air into themselves? They need to know how to silence a Glock? Okay, whatever. Anyway, guess what?
What?
No one else used this computer, and the last time the user account was logged on was February 14th at 11:30 a.m. and logged off at 12:29.
Wow.
They pull Nathan's phone records, and he's talking to Aina way more than he's telling the police that he did.
Right.
There are multiple calls and texts throughout each day. On January 18th, 2013, just about a month before Denise is murdered, Nathan sends Aina a text, quote, I let you down and I'm sorry. I'm not going to make excuses. That would not be fair to you. You deserve someone who respects you and puts their relationship first. And from now on, I want to do all that I can to be that person. There is nothing more important to me than you and this relationship. I'm so blessed to have you in my life, and I know it, end quote.
Wow, what a scumbag.
A little less than 1 month later, on February 12th, 2013, Nathan told Aina in a text, quote, future and hope. He, meaning God, has plans for our future and hope, end quote. That message was deleted from both phones. On February 13th at 8:05 a.m., Aina texted Nathan, quote, I got up half an hour earlier to meet with Dr. Park, and she is not there. This morning, she goes to see a doctor, end quote. And the message was deleted from Aina's phone, but Nathan responded at 8:07 a.m., quote, I can pretend I am Dr. Park, question mark, end quote.
Wow.
That message was deleted from both phones. At 8:08 a.m., the two of them had a phone conversation for 13 minutes and 38 seconds. Aina deleted the call from her call log. Mm-hmm. On February 13th at 2013, at 12:19 p.m., Aina texted Nathan that she was going to the gym, and Nathan responded at 12:20 with, I can't even believe I'm going to cover this part, quote, without me? And at 1:24, Aina texted him back that she was, quote, done with the gym. And right away, Nathan texted Aina, quote, wet, question mark, end quote.
Oh, my gosh.
Aina responded just moments later with, quote, a little bit, end quote. And a minute later, Nathan texted Aina, quote, but you smell good.
Man.
And you are also so beautiful, end quote.
Wow.
Police discover that Nathan is paying for more than just spa treatments. Nathan and Aina have a joint checking account where Nathan deposited money for her. He paid her living and school expenses for 2 years and up until the time Denise is murdered.
And he's got all this money to do this?
I'm about to cover that. You really do read my mind, honey. Except when it's time to take out the trash. I actually have to tell him that one. He doesn't read my mind when I'm like,
nobody's perfect.
You're close, honey. You're close. I'll take you just like you are.
All right.
Authorities speak with David Sexton, the pastor of LaMarche Baptist Church, where Nathan and Denise are both members, and they learn something very interesting. In June, before Denise is murdered, in February of 2013,
right,
he tells police that 8 months before Denise's murder, he spoke with both Denise and Nathan about Nathan, quote, riding around with Aina in a car without anybody else, end quote.
Okay.
Sexton explained to Nathan and Denise that Nathan's behavior did not look good and was detrimental to his ministry. Sexton warned Nathan that if his behavior continued, the church would remove its financial support.
Ooh.
And according to Minister Kenneth Linder, Nathan received $2,500 every 2 weeks in financial support for his missionary work.
Wow.
And that was collected from various churches throughout the country.
Wow.
So he's making $5,000 a month. They're living with his in-laws.
Yeah.
And he's funneling his money to Aina and paying for her to get waxed up.
Yeah. Gee whiz.
So they're starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together, although it's not a jigsaw puzzle by any stretch of the imagination. It's more like a preschool puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But here's the thing. Just because he's an adulterer, that doesn't make him a murderer.
Right.
So police put out feelers to the community. Had anybody seen anything that seemed odd near the house where Denise is shot? And a neighbor comes forward, Diane Parrish. She lived at 607 West Mossville Road. The murder takes place at 700 West Mossville Road.
Okay.
She says that on February 14th, Valentine's Day, around 12:20 p.m., she left her house with her husband in their car, and as her husband drove towards Robinson Park, she noticed a man wearing a black hoodie sweatshirt walking on the side of the road against traffic. Now, Diane thought it was unusual because most people would use the road to walk or jog before or after work, not in the middle of the day.
Right.
Also, it's really cold outside and the man was only wearing a sweatshirt. And she was concerned that if the man saw them leave their house, he would rob their home. And Diane asked her husband to slow down. Slow this car down, honey, because I want to get a good look at this guy.
Right, right.
And since the man had his hood pulled over his head and his hands in his pockets, she could only see his face, his cheeks, and his jawline. She described his facial hair as, quote, scruffy.
Okay.
When they passed the park, she noticed that there were 2 cars in the lot. Police show her some photos of a few different men, and mixed in is a photo of Nathan Leuthold.
Okay.
And she points to him and says,
That's the guy.
That's the guy.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Aina did not attend the funeral for Denise.
Really?
She didn't have any contact with Denise's parents or family after the murder, which again is weird because she's claiming to be this God-fearing, Jesus-loving woman who lived with this family, took care of these children, and has known them since she was 6 years old.
Yeah.
But she didn't attend the funeral.
Wow.
And she's now cut ties with the family. She emails her mother and says, quote, everything is under God's control. He has a plan, and this is a part of his plan. Everything is not as awful as it sounds. Children and Nathan are really doing well. It might be quite difficult on Monday and Tuesday, meaning the funeral, but after that, it should be better.
Man.
Many people are praying, and it can be felt. Children cried only once when they learned about it. Denise's daughter did not say once that she wanted her mother, but if she needs anything, she asks for Aina, end quote.
Wow. There's some sick puppies in this couple.
This is the Lord's plan, according to Aina.
Oh, man. Wow.
3 weeks after Denise's murder, police arrest Nathan Leuthold for the murder of his wife. They follow him as he takes their children to school and then pull him over and handcuff him. He's going to plead
Not guilty.
Not guilty, and he's going to jail to await trial.
I had nothing to do with this.
Oh, there were tears.
I'm sure.
On July 14th, 2014, 17 months after Denise's murder, they finally go to trial. But while Nathan is sitting in jail, he has telephone conversations with
Aina.
Yeah. In Lithuanian.
Oh, wow. He speaks Lithuanian now, fluently, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
The calls happen in May of 2013, and police and the DA have them translated.
There you go.
In one phone call, Nathan tells Aina to write down what he is saying. And among other things, Nathan described how Aina knew him and his family and how Aina was treated like a family member. Nathan told Aina that he was her sponsor. His name appeared on her visa because both his name and Denise's name would not fit. And the insurance company sees her as a dependent.
Wow.
Nathan then stated, quote, "Now your relationship with Denise," end quote. And he described how Denise bought Aina clothes, including from Eddie Bauer, how Denise told Nathan to treat Aina as family and always take care of her, and that Denise said everything in PCC, the Pensacola school, quote, "was stupid," end quote, and, quote, "nonsense," end quote.
What?
Nathan said, quote, "We can say that Denise loved you and that you were in her daily prayers," end quote.
Jeez.
Nathan also said, quote, "You were the only one she trusted with the children, even in America," end quote. Nathan said that Denise liked that she was teaching Aina to use a gun. And in another call, Nathan told Aina that he was her, quote, "spiritual advisor in America," and explained to her that, quote, "communications with your clergy are private," end quote. Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it works that way, Nathan.
Aina told Nathan that their pastor sent her a letter asking for answers to specific questions. This is Pastor Sexton. And during the call, Aina read a portion of the pastor's letter that said, quote, "Press says that allegedly there is a love triangle. Can you comment on or explain these facts? First, police say that you were kicked out of Florida College for not right relationships with Nathan. Is this true?" Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Nathan tells her, "Don't respond. Don't write back to the pastor."
Oh, geez.
When the case comes to trial in July of 2014, here's what the DA has. Gunshot residue on the black hoodie sweatshirt from the floor of the bedroom.
Really?
Eyewitness testimony that Nathan was seen walking to the park in the black hoodie sweatshirt. He's been having an affair with a 19-year-old girl he's known since she was 6. By the way, he's 40.
Wow.
He is twice her age. And everything points to Nathan.
Yeah.
But there was more.
Here we go.
Meet David Smith. David was in the Peoria County Jail serving a 14-year sentence on a drug case when he meets Nathan in March or April. The men were housed in the same jail unit and spoke on a daily basis for hours. Nathan asked David for guidance based on hypothetical legal questions. The missionary is asking the drug dealer for advice.
It's kind of like that Will Ferrell movie when he gets...
Get hard.
Get hard.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
About 2 or 3 weeks after Nathan arrived at the unit, David told Nathan to be honest if he wanted his help. David shook hands with Nathan and promised him he'd never say anything about what...
Oh, God. You couldn't even get through it.
I couldn't.
I know. That's just insane.
David shook hands with Nathan and promised him he'd never say anything about what Nathan would tell him.
Even if they offered to be lenient on me with my sentence, I would never do that. Jeez.
According to David, Nathan said that Denise was overbearing. He met someone else and he wanted to move on with his life.
Oh, geez.
Nathan said the name of the new woman was a student named, quote, Anna, Lana, something like that, end quote. According to David, Nathan told him that on the day of the murder, he did certain things so he could account for his whereabouts at certain times. In the morning, Nathan presented Valentine's Day gifts to Denise, so everything looked fine. Then later in the day, he parked his car at Robinson Park and returned to the house through the woods. Nathan hid in the closet and waited for Denise to come home. Nathan told David he had some black clothes, including a hoodie, but he changed his clothes because he thought someone saw him going to the house. They did.
Wow.
When Denise came in, Nathan had some words with her, then shot her in the head. Nathan told David he shot his wife on the left side of her head. He also told David that he chose Valentine's Day as the date to murder Denise as a present to, quote, the other woman, end quote.
This guy is just resident evil.
He picked Valentine's Day.
Gee whiz.
That was his Valentine's Day gift to Aina.
Honey, I'm just going to give you a card and maybe some gluten-free muffins.
I always get gluten-free treats from the bakery, from the gluten-free bakery.
Yeah.
You're too good to me. I don't deserve you.
Oh, man.
Nathan tells David, the drug dealer, he initially thought about poisoning Denise with insulin or potassium. Well, that matches up with the Google searches.
Yeah.
He decided if he used a gun, he had to do research to find out how to silence a Glock 40, also in the Google searches.
Yeah.
Nathan told Smith that he had visited, quote, a car wash, a car place, and a Starbucks coffee, just hung out at these places so he could account for certain times during the day, and some people would be able to say that he was at this place or that place.
Yeah.
David Smith kept notes of everything Nathan told him so he could turn them over to the detectives.
Yeah. And every clue or evidence that he had, he's going, okay, this should buy me maybe another
another week. That's a month off. That's another month off.
So what did you say about such? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
David also testified that at the jail, the inmates received phone cards for personal phone calls, and each inmate had a separate PIN number and could sell and trade, quote, calls and stuff off the phone cards, end quote. I had no idea this happened, but honestly, it's kind of smart. David testified he allowed Nathan to make at least 3 phone calls using his PIN number. And this is how it works. David Smith would make a 3-way call to one of his family members.
Okay.
And that family member would then call the person that Nathan wanted to speak to.
Okay.
And Nathan's family provided David Smith with money for Nathan's phone calls. So once he got a hold of the person he wanted, David Smith's family person who made the 3-way call,
right,
yeets out. And those two are now talking.
Gotcha.
Which is kind of genius.
Yeah.
But police are obviously onto it.
Sure.
Also, this is pretty genius.
Okay.
David told Nathan, make a list of everything that had been taken from the house during the burglary. And David testified that after talking to the detective advised him, quote, it would help if they could come up with his gun or some of these items, end quote. So David tells Nathan that he needed these items that he took out of that house, end quote. And Nathan provided the list.
What an idiot.
And David said that the reason they did that was because if those items, quote, popped up mysteriously somewhere on the street and somebody contacted the media, it would take some of the weight off of Nathan, end quote.
And he bought that.
Yeah. So he's basically saying, if you know what you took and you know where it is, I can have somebody go get it. And then it ends up on the street somewhere. And then that doesn't look like you did anything.
Well, that information should take another 6 months off of his sentence.
Because he turned over the list to the detectives.
He might get expunged.
Well, he's going to get some time off.
Okay.
But he says all these things to David, like exactly where he shot her. And Denise had been shot in the back left side of her head. And there was no evidence that it was a close range firing, which meant the muzzle of the gun was at least 18 to 24 inches away. And of course, the bullet would have caused her to become instantly incapacitated. She died right away.
Sure.
Then Scott Rochowitz gets on the stand and testifies that he works for the Illinois State Police and spent 23 and a half years in forensic science. He said that he examined the black hooded sweatshirt recovered from Nathan's bedroom for gunshot residue and concluded that the right cuff of the black sweatshirt was in close proximity to a firearm, either when it was discharged or contacted a primer gunshot residue related item. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
It's just not looking good.
Yeah. This is all bad evidence.
It's not good. It's not looking good for Nathan.
Yep.
Missionary Nathan. They get Aina on the stand, and she has an interpreter to help her answer her questions.
Of course she does.
And again, she does pretty well at first. The softball questions: what's your name? Where do you live?
Right.
Then when it got into the nature of their relationship, their sexual relationship with Nathan, she didn't understand English. So she said through her interpreter that there was no affair. She insisted it was a platonic relationship and that he was her sponsor and that she worked for him helping to organize Christian conferences. She's just out there doing the Lord's work.
Exactly.
And listen, before you email me, I think so many church organizations do a ton of good work in the world.
Yeah.
But don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Don't hide behind the guise of being a Baptist missionary and cheat on your wife and then murder her so you can be with your 19-year-old mistress.
Yeah, exactly.
Who also loves the Lord.
Right.
And the spa visits, they ask her about the spa visits. Well, he was only there to pay. It was a coinky-dink, all of it.
Yeah.
But the DA has one more piece of evidence up their sleeves.
Uh-oh.
Remember the day timer they took from the nightstand in Denise and Nathan's bedroom?
Yeah.
It contained handwritten notes, Post-it notes about homeschooling and Bible scriptures.
Right. And
tucked away inside the day planner, Detective Moore with the Peoria Police Department found a note.
Uh-oh.
Quote, "What on earth could you possibly be thinking? I can't imagine anything you could tell me that would hurt worse than what you were doing to me right now, every day. I really don't think there's anything that I could have done or not done that would cause me to deserve this. I have tried to please you for 17 years and never succeeded. I've never been good enough, never done enough. I know that you want me dead. I'm not stupid. I suppose it will confirm my worthlessness to you when I write that I am not brave enough to do that job for you. And now, all of a sudden, you're taking me with you to places? What is that all about? Maybe you think I don't feel bad enough. You act like you are somehow noble because you won't tell me why you are doing this. It makes me sick. I have been willing at any time to fall in love with you again, but you reject me every time. I wish I could hate you. I've tried to hate you because I thought it would make it easier. I thought it wouldn't hurt so bad. Of course, I couldn't do it, so I have failed at that too. I have been without pride. I have humiliated myself to try to win something that belongs to me. You defraud me, and you don't seem to care. Well, I quit. I'm not going to try to please you anymore. I will do what I have to do, but no more of that game. You want to humiliate me by running around with a 19-year-old?
No.
Fine. I won't grovel. If I haven't pleased you in 17 years, nothing I do will please you. And I refuse to leave my children just because you have decided to do this to me. You are the only person who thinks I'm a bad mother. Complete strangers compliment me on them. So I will not join you in your obsession with perfection. I am the same person that I've always been. I am not weaker, and in many ways, I'm stronger. I refuse to play to your perfectionism in that, too. I've borne neglect and criticism and kept going, but now this? How long? How long are you going to do this to me? Oh, yeah, until I break. That's what you said, isn't it? Well, happy waiting, end quote.
Man. Well, oh, yeah, okay.
Denise is basically coming back from the grave and laying it all on the line. It was a handwritten note.
Yeah.
It was her handwriting. It matched everything else in the day planner.
Yep.
The jury deliberated for less than 2 hours and came back with a verdict.
Guilty.
Guilty of murder 1.
Wow.
Nathan filed an amended motion for a new trial, but on December 10th, 2014, Nathan's attorney said that he didn't have a prior criminal record and should only be given the minimum sentence of 45 years because any sentence would become a life term. In Illinois, you must serve 100% of any prison term for murder.
Wow.
And his attorney told the court that they had no proof that Aina and he had a romantic relationship, to which the judge...
I can't wait to hear this.
To which the judge said, quote, really? End quote.
Along with everyone else in the... Yeah.
Can you imagine the judge being up there and going, really?
Really? Yeah.
Judge Kevin Lyons ended the sentencing by saying, quote, you will end your life in a cold and gray isolated Illinois penitentiary where you will be more of a number than a name.
Wow.
End quote.
Wow.
Nathan was sentenced to 80 years.
Wow. I don't think he's going to live that one out.
Yeah.
Just guessing.
On December 21st, 2016, 3 appellate judges in the state of Illinois rejected claims his trial was unfair.
Wah. Jeez.
Aina Dobilaite left the United States shortly after
You think?
Nathan's arrest.
She yeeted on out of there.
She returned to Lithuania, where she tried to resume her normal life. She deactivated her social media accounts and avoided the media attention. She also changed her name and her appearance and moved to a different city.
Wow.
Because remember, in that small town in Lithuania where the mission was,
right?
I mean, those were all her people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody knew Nathan and Denise.
Right.
In 2014, Aina gave a rare interview to a Lithuanian newspaper where she expressed her regret and sorrow for the Leuthold family. She also said that she had no contact with Nathan and that she wanted to forget him and move on with her life.
I bet she does.
Aina is now 31, 32 years old. She's reportedly working as a teacher. She's also married and has a child. She prefers to stay out of the spotlight.
Wow.
She has not returned to the United States, and she has no plans to do so.
I would assume so.
Denise's 3 children are being raised by her parents. Nathan is currently incarcerated at the Menard Correctional Center in Illinois. His parole date is March 6th, 2093.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, that'll work.
He continues to claim that he is innocent.
Of course he does.
But that is the story of Nathan Leuthold and Aina and the wonderful Denise and her beautiful 3 children. And that's all I have to say about that. Hey, Hitch to Homicide listeners, the wait is over. If you're a reader or a fan of my Sex and Lies series, Book 10, Sex, Lies, and Rock and Roll is now available on Amazon. With a successful tour and 2 years of sobriety under his belt, rock star Noah Hart is ready to put his secrets and the past behind him. That is, until his former bandmates and business partners are murdered one by one, and suddenly he becomes the prime suspect. When FBI agent Louisa Hathaway is assigned to the case, no one, including her partner, is aware she carries her own secrets, including an undeniable infatuation with rock and roll's bad boy, Noah Hart. As the body count rises, Agent Hathaway is torn between unraveling the truth and falling for the man who might be the killer. Don't miss this new book, Sex, Lies, and Rock and Roll, by me, Chris Calvert. Only on Amazon. Rock and roll will never die, but it might kill you.
You know, David, the cellie that had all the information. And
yes. Mm-hmm.
I think he should be working as an interrogator for the police. I mean, that's pretty good.
He did a good job.
Yeah. Did we ever find out if he got time off?
They offered him a deal.
Okay.
They did offer him a deal.
Right.
And of course, you know, the defense is saying, well, the only reason he's saying all this is because he got a deal. And that, you know, he read all of this someplace else. You know, the things that he talked about were a lot of the things that were speculated on in the newspaper.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that Nathan said those things to him.
Yeah, okay. You just keep on believing that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I kept looking to see if maybe he was like, if he was like ministering to other inmates, but I couldn't find anything about that.
No, he was too worried about his own butt.
Oh,
yeah. Maybe I should rephrase that.
buddy, you said a mouthful.
There you go.
Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that.
Okay, moving on. Let's do a little bless your heart.
Well, bless your heart.
Okay, this week's bless your hearts. Let's start with number 1. It's raining donuts.
Sounds good.
Yep. 2 crack cocaine smoking crooks who stole a truck were caught after they left a 15-mile long trail of donuts.
How do you leave 15 miles of donuts?
In 2002, the pair snatched a Krispy Kreme truck from a car parked outside a convenience store in Louisiana. They got it and they yeeted on out of there. Okay, the truck had been parked with its rear doors open and the engine running while a delivery man carried the donuts inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what it makes me think of?
What?
Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah. When he's walking across the street, wind blowing.
She's asking for quarters.
Yeah. And then he goes up and picks up the bag.
Just takes the money bag, walks away.
That's it. The 2 suspects hopped in the truck and sped off with the donuts spilling out along the way, he said. They abandoned the truck when they were spotted by police responding to reports of a dangerous driver who was losing his donuts. Quote, I don't know if it was a need for transportation or if they just had the munchies, a police spokesman said.
It was a joyride.
Yep.
I mean, that's like stealing the Oscar Mayer Wiener car or something.
Exactly,
You're going to be found.
Yeah. Well, they caught him and now they're serving time. There you go.
I hope that those donuts were worth it. Why do I picture the guys in the front? And he's got jelly all over his face.
Could be. I don't know. All right. Number 2, incrimination. I just wanted to say that so you get the gist of this.
Incrimination.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. In the U.S., a tattoos fan fondness for body art helped Baltimore police track him down in 2009 for armed robbery at a convenience store.
Okay.
While reviewing surveillance footage of the incident, police noticed that while 26-year-old Lance Edward Shepard had covered his face with a white T-shirt, this had left his tattooed arm exposed. Yes. Detectives circulated flyers with the photo of Shepard, and a tip led them to a local tattoo parlor where police found him getting more tattoos.
Oh, wow.
He just couldn't stop. He was apprehended and arrested and convicted and serving time.
I thought you were going to say, have you seen this tattoo?
Yeah.
And the tattoo artist was like, that's my work. I did that.
No, he's going, yeah, he's sitting right in there.
Yeah, he's in the other room.
All right, number 3, just phoning it in.
Okay.
A bungling thief was arrested after he left his mobile phone at the scene of his crime with his own picture as the screensaver.
I feel like, oh, that's a new one.
Yeah, exactly. Christian Johnson, who's 29, stole an expensive Rolex watch after trying it on at a Manchester jeweler's. But as he ran off, his phone was left behind. That also had photos of him. Here we go. This is the kicker. Had photos of him holding watches stolen in previous raids.
Oh, my gosh.
The dad of one with 40 previous convictions admitted to theft and was handed a 12-month jail sentence.
Now he's got 41.
Yeah. Jeweler Marlene Starr said the phone he left behind had photos of him and his son. How stupid can you be? So there's your bless your hearts for this week with the moronic criminals that roam our earth.
I mean, we've had them leave their phone behind, but nobody's ever left their phone behind with their screensaver picture of themselves.
I could just see him going.
The police show up. It's this guy right here.
Yeah,
that's the guy we're looking for.
Yeah. Oh, well, whatever.
Well, if you have a bless your heart or you know somebody's heart who needs blessing, go to hitchtahomicide.com where there's a pull-down menu and you can also suggest a case.
Please do.
And while you're there, if you want to tell us about your own true crime story, we would love to hear it.
Absolutely.
That's my amazing husband and Valentine out there.
And that's my beautiful bride and special Valentine in the booth.
I'm special
You
in
are.
so many ways.
You really are.
Join us next time on Itch to Homicide.
Bye, y'all.